come to realize where I'm at now, I'm in California. I mean, California is horrible in terms of if you've got commercial insurance, good luck. At least where I'm at, they pay for hardly anything.
Okay.
You're better off coming in from Mexico and not being a citizen than the state of California pays for everything for you. So, and where I practiced before in Missouri, there's much better coverage out there. I would prescribe medications that have been I'd try and prescribe medications out here that have been out for 8 years and they're not covered here. But when I was practicing in Missouri 3 years ago, they were. So there's no consistency either from that standpoint.
Okay. So, no, thanks for all that background on that. So as we talked about this, a couple of follow-up questions, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about costs and things like that. You mentioned a couple of times that you have kind of a cocktail that you use, a source, right? And like kind of your own like formula on treating some of these patients. Do you ever get pushback from insurance on those, on using those alternative regimens?
No, because and what I usually will use is something like diflucan once a day for 3 days and then once a week, and I will use it for 11 more weeks. 3-month regimen is one that comes to mind that I use frequently. And the fact of the matter is that diflucan these days is a few dollars. So no, it's there's generics available. It's inexpensive. So I haven't gotten pushback from that kind of formulation whatsoever.
Okay, and then what about and as you mentioned, like, what do you consider expensive for your patients to pay out of pocket for drugs?
I think
it's
really hard.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily talk to patients about it, but I think myself, if someone goes to the pharmacy and says, for me, and you're paying over $50 for a medication, suddenly I think $50, that's a lot of money. That's, as my wife and we talk to our kids, and we and they're like, oh, can I get this? It's $120, and my wife will turn around and say, do you know how many hours I have to work to bring home $150 after taxes? And trying to put it in perspective, so $50 is a lot of money. Some people have to work many, many hours to have that kind of money. And so I think when prescription medications start getting to be that expensive, that, there's an issue. And the part of the problem, it comes back to the insurance companies. And, I work for a big healthcare corporation now, and I've got lousy insurance. My daughter, who works for a big company, and she's got the best insurance I've ever seen in my life, in my career. Her boss, his first name is Mark. His last name begins with a Z or something like that. And so, and her insurance, and I'm like, why is there such discrepancy? It just, and that's the problem. That's the insurance industry running medicine. So getting back to it, I think something over $50, people are going to have a little pushback.
Okay. All right. So here's my last question I'm going to ask you. I have actually two of them. Number one is, so let's say that for your next 100 patients that have, I'm going to call it more of acute VVC, and assuming that they are on that tier 3 with a $50 copay, is there any of them that you could see yourself prescribing product S to?
No, because it's no better than what's out there. In fact, it's worse. It doesn't improve until after 25 days. So the efficacy of product S is worse than what's out there at the 10-day point. And if I have to tell a patient, hey, you're not going to start seeing significant improvement until day 25, potentially, Good
Good
morning.
morning. Good morning. Thank you
Good
for
morning.
your time today. I hope that you weren't waiting long. I actually was having some issues getting into the phone number. So.
Not at all.
Okay. Well, thanks for your time today. Before we begin, I want to make sure that you received a link from the company that organized.
Yep, I have that link. It's apparently I
Okay,
need
and then
a password from you.
okay, I can give you that password. We're just to make sure that you can get in right now, because otherwise I can email them when we're talking. It's VVC.
Hang on just a second.
No worries.
B as in boy.
No, V as in Victor.
B as in Victor. Hold on, I'm going to open it up and just.
Okay. So what we're
right.
talking
B
about
as in Victor.
today, V as in Victor, C as in Cat, 2018.
2018, and hit the button. All right, it said invalid. Let me try to. Is it capitalized?
Yeah, capitalized.
All right, hold on. Let's try that again. VC.
No,
28.
VC. So two V's.
Oh, two V's. As in both.
Two V's.
Okay.
Yeah.
BBC. Oh, come on. Let's see. VBC 2018. And we are in.
Perfect. All right. Well, you can just leave that to the side for a little bit, because we're going to do some upfront conversations. Sure. Just know that
you got it.
Perfect. I'm doing this on behalf of a client, so you can be completely candid and honest with me. I also want you to know that I'm at home and my refrigerator is being repaired. So if you hear some kind of loud noise or yelling, be patient with me, because the refrigerator going out the weekend before Thanksgiving is not ideal.
Not a good thing. I hear you.
Yeah. So we had our furnace go out earlier this week too, and so it's been a fun week in my house. But regardless, so I wanted to talk to you today a little bit about VVC. And basically, I wanted to understand a little background on currently, the patients that you're seeing with VVC, and then we're going to talk about, how you're treating them, what you think are some of the unmet needs, and then we'll turn our second half of the conversation to the two documents that you just opened up and go through there. So with that being said, can you tell me a little bit about the patients that typically present to you with VVC? And what kind of symptoms they usually see when they come into your practice?
Most common is going to be discharge, an abnormal type of discharge, and itching, pruritus, or vulvar pruritus, as we call it.
And how do you typically diagnose your patients then with VVC when they come to see you?
Well, for myself, just on my background, I've been doing this for 26 years, so I've gotten it down. If it textbook-wise, and when I'm in a teaching mode, and if I have people, I go through the parameters of what we use, and that's and the various options from anywhere from doing a wet prep with saline and potassium hydroxide, to look for yeast and so forth. Just your general examination, speculum exam, checking the vaginal pH, and as well as just, what you see on exam. Typically with VVC, you're going to see erythema, the tissue on the outside of the vagina, the vulva, tends to be erythematous, as does the vagina. And there's that typical, as we described a lot of things in medicine based on foods, I guess because that's what we can relate to, cottage cheese type discharge.
Okay, great. Do you ever classify your patients a little bit as you diagnose them, such as and segment them out as far as like acute versus a recurrent patient, or mild, moderate, and severe?
I don't do a formal classification. I may, in terms of being more specific with an ICD-10 coding, I may have vulvar candidiasis or vulvar cutaneous candidiasis versus vulvovaginal candidiasis.